Hey guys, welcome to another video of Study in Space. Today we're going to be going over how to prepare to start studying for AP testing. And I have a couple of tricks and tips for you guys on how to best maximize your time and how to make sure you study far long enough ahead so that you're not cramming at the last second. Let's start off with the test that I'm going to be taking this year. This year I'm going to be taking the AP Economics, Macro, AP Government and Politics, and AP Calculus, along with AP Literature and AP Studio Art. I'm not going to be covering those two since I don't have a prep book for either of those. And for Studio Art, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go over how I'm going to structure my schedule first of all. In my bullet journal, I created this 7-week spread. This is also including AP Testing Week. So the first thing I did when breaking down the AP Calculus exam is I decided how many weeks I wanted to spend studying for this test. So you can see I have it divided into these sets of 3, and that is how I broke down each of my weeks. So this is the beginning of the week, middle of the week, end of the week, and on each of these corresponds with a number that is the day of the month, so I get a better idea of what time of the week I'm going to be doing this. So for example, I gave myself practice test 1 to take, and I thought that was an easy chunk to start off with, just so I get an idea of how I am doing, so I can better manage my time. And on the 9th, I just read about how to best take the AP exam. So you can see I've highlighted the different things that I need to know. So for example, for integral calculus, I need to know Riemann sums, area under the curve, left-right midpoint evaluations, the trapezoid rule, and fundamental theorem of calculus. That is a lot easier to look at than this entire block of text that College Board gives you. Read these sections, annotate them if you want to, write little notes for yourself. It's your prep book, but this is just the way I analyze mine. And so after I've done all of that, I've just started my second week of my calculus review, and that is limits. So the way that I go through my prep books is first, I like to have a little bit of color coordination, use pens and pencils that kind of correlate with the rest of my color scheme. So you can see this week I'm using pink, so I'll be using a pink highlighter. Last week I did orange. So when I'm going through and highlighting my review book, I'm looking for very specific things. So keywords, things that College Board says you need to know, I need names of theorems, formulas, etc. So I'm just going to go through and highlight this for you guys so you can get an idea on this first page. Alright, so I've gone ahead and highlighted just one page for you guys, just so you can see, and instantly a lot of this information stands out a lot better than it did a couple minutes ago. And if I feel the need to take notes, I like to take it in a similar color like this. But that is just an example of how I do my AP Calculus annotations. Now I'm going to move on to my AP Gov exam, and with this one it's a little bit different in how you want to structure your study schedule and how you study. So for the AP Gov exam, you'll definitely notice it's a lot more reading intensive than the calculus exam, but I've essentially broken it down in the same sense with these nice little tabs so that I get an idea of when I should be finishing each part by. And the thing is, with Gov, there's so much more material you actually have to memorize and understand and analyze, and it's really important to get this repetition in as you're studying. So for these, I usually do my Gov studying in 3 easy steps, and that's broken down on a daily basis. So on the first day of my study week, I first highlight all of my notes. And this is just to basically summarize all the stuff into the essential things, because nobody wants to memorize all of this. Even though this could all be in the AP test, it's not logistically possible to cram all of this into your head in a 7-week period. And you should have been learning this incrementally over the year, so don't stress too much, but just you should be really getting the essentials in right here. Essentially what I've done is gone ahead and transcribed all of this highlighted material that I find important into my notes, and that is really just solidifying the material into my muscle memory and into my brain a little more, because going over the material over and over again tends to help, especially when it's such a broad topic like Gov. And with these, I don't really tend to be too neat. I kind of just write it down really fast, just trying to get that down there. But the more repetition, the better you're going to remember it. So I do that for both of these chapters, and even though it takes a while, I like to kind of busy myself by watching like Grey's Anatomy in the background. Sometimes that helps pass the time if you're just transcribing, or just put on some good music, because you've already gone and read all the information before. So at this point, you're just copying it. And then finally, for my third day of my study week, I do the summaries and the chapter 4 drills. It may differ from book to book, but in general, all of them have these review questions at the end and the chapter summary. And I find these are super helpful for like the main points that you need to know. And so I kind of just go through and highlight that really quick. And this is kind of my light day where I can kind of just sit down for like 10 minutes, do these, check my answers, and be done for the week. And I can get an idea of how much information I've absorbed, whether or not I need to go back and review it later. And so you can see for my chapter 4 drill, I missed question 2. So I highlight the answers, and when I get it wrong, I make sure that I annotate the right answer. That way I'm also reinforcing the material. And what's really nice about this book is you don't have to go back in the chapter and find the area. They have it nice and written out for you right here. So I figure out why I got the answer wrong, what tricked me, and what the right answer is. And with those 3 things, it's much easier to do better on these little quizzes. I also did the same thing for chapter 5 drill. I didn't get any wrong, so I just leave that as it is. I don't go over my answers unless I guessed on one that I don't know about. And then finally, at the end of my week, I reflect. Finally, I will be going over Econ. Econ is also a little bit different because it's almost like a mixture of calc and of gov, where there's things you have to memorize and there's things you have to apply really well. So once again, I've structured Econ the same as my other 2. I've divided each segment into 3 parts, one for each part of the week, beginning, middle, and end. But once again, this was my first week I did it. I did the same thing as gov. I highlighted, I read through, and I just highlighted, didn't take any notes, and just absorbed the material. For my second part of the week, I also did the same thing as gov, where I took notes. And on Econ, I'm definitely running a little bit behind. I haven't done my key terms or review questions, but I make sure that whenever I have extra time, I try to catch up on this, because what I've learned from the past 4 years of AP testing is that once you fall behind in your review, it is horrible trying to catch up reading 40 pages of Princeton review at night and trying to do all your questions. So try to stay on top of that. So in my bullet journal, like you saw before, I have this nice little long-term study schedule planned out, and each week I have allocated different subjects per day. I try to structure my study sessions so that I'm not doing homework for that class and reviewing for that class in the same day, just so I'm not sick of it. And so I've structured it on opposite days. So this was the first week. It was kind of spotty because I was bad with keeping up with my schedule. But for this week, I've also included tests I have for regular school, so I can kind of see if you need to plan ahead. And I've done it on a day-by-day basis, corresponding to the tabs. I've also color-coded it down here, just so I can get a nice, more colorful visualization. And this is my best case scenario if I stick to my schedule. I should be finished with review by this week. That leaves me a week to do any last stuff I don't understand, and then AP testing. Alright, I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and thank you so much for watching.